My wife started acting strange after she found out how much I really make. It's like she's reverse gold digging because she gives my stuff to her family and tells me it's fine because I can afford it. I, 26M, have been married to my wife, Emma, 26F, for 4 years. She was a social work major who I met in one of my gen ed classes. I told her that I was a mechanical engineering major, and she then asked if I could tutor her in math, and that's how we began dating. Afterwards, I decided to pursue my master's in Japan to help me gain more career opportunities. Emma thought it was a silly idea and said she wouldn't help fund it. For context, we keep our finances separate besides our contributions toward shared bills, so it wasn't a big deal to me. I was still working anyway, so all it meant was I just had less free time. Maybe relevant, maybe not, but she was making more than me during this period. It paid off, and I recently landed a high-paying job, which came with more stress due to my frequent travels to Japan. I've really been wanting to get into gaming, so I invested in computer parts that ran me about $1,500. Once I took the parts out of the box, Emma noticed the receipt and asked how I could be so irresponsible with my money. She assumed I still made the same amount, but when I told her that I make triple that amount, she began giving me the silent treatment. During this time, I began to notice that my things were going missing. One time, I wanted to go fishing with some friends, and when I was looking for my rods, she must have noticed and said she had given them to her uncle. I told her not to take my stuff without asking, but I didn't mind too much because they were old, so I just bought some more. Another time, I was about to go to the gym, and I was looking for my pre-workout but it was nowhere to be found. I always keep 3 jars, so finding none of them was bizarre. When Emma got home from work, I asked her about it, and she said she gave them to her cousin. I asked her to reimburse me because they cost $50 a jar. She said I made enough to replace them and just ignored me for the rest of the day. One day, when she thought I was asleep, she was talking to someone on the phone, explaining how she's going to move her parents into our house. She hadn't explained this to me. We only have 3 rooms, one is her office, one is my office/game room, and the other is our bedroom. She told the person on the phone, who I assume is her sister, that she's going to give my gaming setup to her brother to make room and that I'll get over it eventually. So today, I left work early to confirm if what I heard was true or not. When I walked into our apartment, she and her brother were placing everything into a box. I asked what was going on, and Emma, whose face was pale, said she was cleaning when her brother came by. I asked him if he planned on taking my computer. Of course, he denied it. I went into the room to get the iPad we share, and I looked through the text there. It clearly showed Emma telling him when to pick it up and to deny that he had it. I told him to get out and asked her why she thought she was entitled to my stuff. We have had fights before, but I have never yelled at her like I did this time, and I guess this scared her because she began to cry. She ended up packing a bag and went to stay with her sister. While she was out, I picked up a lock from my office. Her sister texted me, calling me the jerk for making her sister cry. I'm so lost and confused, I don't know where to go from here. Update 1. Sorry I've been MIA for 2 months, things have been somewhat hectic. After about a week staying at her sister's house, Emma called me and asked if we could meet up. I agreed, and we met at a park. She apologized for everything and said she thought she was doing what was best for everybody. I didn't understand what she meant by that, and I asked her how she would feel if I just gave her expensive makeup to my sister. She admitted that she would be upset. I then asked why she thought it would be any different for me. She didn't have a reason, and even her sister told her how unfair she was being to me. We decided to give it another chance, and she moved back in. It was going well until she started moving her things into my office. I asked her what she was doing, and she explained how she needed the room for her parents. I told her no, and that's not happening. I grabbed her things and placed them back into her office. I told her that they could move in, but my space has to remain untouched. On top of that, we need to determine how bills are going to be paid. She called me selfish and then ran back to her sister's. I guess her sister told her she was being inconsiderate once again. And apparently, they got into an argument because the sister refuses to take their parents in and said she's tired of hearing about her problems. I agree with her, her sister already has 4 kids to deal with. Her sister called and told me everything and said that Emma went to her parents' house. I tried to call her, but she ignored my phone calls for 2 weeks. I decided I couldn't live like this, so I filed for divorce and handed it to her at her parents' house. She called and begged me to forgive her. I told her I'm not sure if I can. She refused to sign it until we tried counseling together. I refused and said she had 2 weeks to suggest that, but instead she just ghosted me. I'm currently living alone. She still refuses to sign the papers, but that doesn't stop the divorce, it just makes it harder. Update 2. Hey there, back again. I last updated around a month ago when I was having a falling out with my wife, Emma, because she would not respect my boundaries. If you don't want to bother reading all of this, the short of it, Emma was cheating on me. The rods and pre-workout didn't go to her family, they went to her affair partner. I found this out when her parents invited me over to their house. The long of it, Emma's parents invited me over to their house because she was being overly withdrawn. When I got there, Emma looked sick, like she hadn't eaten for days. Her parents asked why I kicked her out and said that me neglecting her is taking a toll on her mental health. Emma just sat there silently crying. I explained that I never kicked her out, and Emma refused to talk to me for weeks before I sent the divorce papers. I showed them texts of me practically begging her to come home so we could talk it out. I asked Emma what she told her parents. Her dad chimed in, saying that I went back on my word about letting her brother stay with me. I asked what they were talking about, and the reason we got into an argument is because they were supposed to move in. Emma ran to her room before she could be questioned. Her parents explained that they were happy with their home and had no plans to leave. I then showed them the text from her sister, Mary, explaining how Emma was mad at her because she couldn't take her parents in. They were confused, and I was confused. So her parents called Mary to have her explain, but her brother, Jake, was also there, and said he had some things he wanted to say. Emma was cheating on me, and Jake caught her and kind of blackmailed her. He was a freshman in high school, and we live in a better district where sports/athletics recruitment is more likely to happen. Emma thought I would be more inclined to say yes if I thought it was her parents moving in. Apparently, she saw no problems with it since someone would be moving in anyway. Emma's parents called her downstairs immediately. She was listening and began to tell her side. Her affair partner's wife found out, so he thought that relationship was over because she kicked him out of the house. He convinced Emma to quit her job because he got a job opportunity in a different state. But he was secretly meeting with his wife, and they got back together. He hadn't put in his 2 weeks yet, so his life resumed normally. Emma, on the other hand, didn't even put in her 2 weeks and just stopped showing up, so she was fired. When her affair partner told her it's over, she went into depression and tried to call me so we could go to counseling. I told her it's over and asked her to sign the paperwork so this divorce can go smoothly. She begged for another chance, but I just left her crying. Her parents informed me later that night that Emma was in the hospital from an overdose of pills. I just ignored it. Her dad is asking that I come to visit to show I care. I texted back that I don't care. I don't know what to do. The moment I found out about the affair, I fell out of love. I do feel somewhat cruel not going to visit her.